Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Again, the last session of our tech track today is about hands-on AI practical tools and strategies for AI-based defense. And our panelist is Mr. Andrew Warfie. He's a leading authority on AI-driven defense solution whose work focuses on applying cutting-edge AI technologies to address modern defense challenges. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Let's jump into this. I hope I can tell you some interesting facts and give some insights. So let's see. Last time we talked about the attacker perspective of the AI, how an AI can be weaponized. Today we will talk about how an AI can be used in defense, in strategy, and what kind of tools we can use which consist AI. So let's see what is our agenda. So we will do a short introduction just to get some context on how AI shapes this industry, at least in my opinion. Then we will see how we use AI in defense. We see some tools, some examples, and some practical uses on how everybody can use it for their own purpose to enhance their security posture. And then, if everything is right, we will see some practical tasks, what everybody can do. If you are interested, then you can do even on your own phone, and just to experience how you can use it and what are the use cases, what would be very, very interesting. Okay, so let's jump into this. So about the introduction, as we can, maybe we all know, there is an increasing volume of threats and attacks on the web. And AI is more and more prevalent in these attacks. So we also can see that the techniques are also rapidly evolving. Some defensive measures that work in the past, now they don't work anymore, because maybe we all used to the typical phishing emails where we can easily say, okay, this is from the Nigerian prince and we don't care, it's not a problem. But today it is very, very hard to even notice that we are under attack. And the other and the last driven force is that there is a very, very big lack of security personnel. So this is that kind of big shortage that now using some automatization is a must. Okay, before we jump into the defense, let's see again some dark side of the AI. So even for defenders, it can be a good tool, but for attackers, it can be a very, very powerful weapon. So when the first wave of this AI future emerged in the last few years, we see a big spike in the volume of attacks, because every hacker can also use, for example, ChatGPT or large language models, and they are integrating it to their own purpose. This one example for this is social engineering attacks and deepfakes. Maybe you all know that there are some videos on the internet where somebody talks, but maybe these people doesn't even exist. So you cannot believe your own eyes, your own perception, and these are the threats that we must prepare against. Also, malwares. Writing malwares with AI is much more it's much more easy, because you can make it change its own code. For example, you can make it a polymorph malware very easily, and you can easily evade these defense mechanisms and anti-malware solutions. Just like the scaling and automation of these attacks, you can also use AI for finding vulnerabilities. There are even AIs now that can do a pen test. Lucky for us, because we want our job as pen testers, we still need it, but we see a big change in this. And maybe in the next years, we will not use our regular tools, but we have to use AI because it's much more effective. And it's now there. We are now there. And as we talked about in the last session, supply chain attacks are also more and more prevalent, and AI makes a big part in this. So what is our conclusion? Smart attackers need smart defenders. So let's go into the bright side. But before we go into the bright side, there are some risks that we must think about when we apply these AI solutions into our systems. As there was some words about this, more and more companies try to integrate AI solutions inside their own defense tactics, not just defense, but their business flows, etc. But what most of them doesn't know, that there are a lot of risks of using AI, because AI is just a software like everything else. It can be hacked, it can be vulnerable, it can be used for malicious purposes. One very regular way to hack, for example, a large language model is prompt injections. So there are some limitations. For example, you cannot make ChatGPT to do a hate speech or make you a malware or an exploit code. But there are some possibilities, like injection techniques, that you can use to lift these boundaries and use it for your malicious purposes. And yes, these prompt injections is very hard to defend against. So if you are thinking about to make your own LLM, large language model, then this is also something that you must think about, because you have to protect. Other one is the data poisoning. But jailbreaking and supply chain vulnerabilities are also present. And something that I can say it's a risk. It's not like a cybersecurity risk, but something that we must also think about, that maybe we are beginning to be over-reliant of AI. I see a lot of companies that make all of their documentation with ChatGPT. If there is a question, they ask ChatGPT. When there is a programming task, they write it with ChatGPT and they just accept it, that it is true, because it is smarter than me, then he must be right. He is the AI. But this is not always, or how should I say, in most cases it's not true. So you cannot be over-reliant on AI. But don't let this discourage you from using it for good purposes. Let's see how we can use it. So, as I said, it is also a very powerful tool in the hands of the defenders. You can use it multiple ways, and I just collected some examples here. So cyber threat intelligence is something that is very hard to grab on in most companies, at least here in Hungary. I don't really see examples where IT departments do this, but it is very, very important, because how to protect against something that you don't know, you must know your enemy, and this is very lacking. And I see I see the reason behind this, because it is not that easy to know where to look, and there are a lot of information on the internet. Some of them are useful, some of them not. But if you have an AI in your hand, then maybe you can work through this big volume of data, and you can just check and select the important parts. So for cyber threat intelligence, I think AI is very, very good. There are options for better authentication. I think it's more or less self-explanatory. It can enhance this technology a lot. Next is the phishing detection and prevention. As I said, now we are facing AIs. So just 2 days ago, I received a letter or an email from a big company. They wanted to sign a contract with me. I know them, I know the people who sent me this, and everything was fine, only the attachment was a bit suspicious. But it was perfect in Hungarian, the email was spoofed, so the funny thing is that I also educate other people about cyber awareness, and I was not sure that this is an attack, but I was suspicious, and I just checked the IP address where this email came from. I just dipped into this attachment, and yeah, it was a malware, of course, but it was it was from some far eastern country, but it was perfect in its language. So it is very scary, I think. So how to protect against this? AI can also help to pinpoint these small details for somebody who is not that used to this kind of attacks. And using AI for checking these phishings or emails can be also a very good line of defense, because otherwise it would be a big problem. There are other risks associated with using AI for this, because data protection and confidential emails. So I don't say that this is the best approach, but nevertheless, it can be a very good tool for this. The other point is vulnerability management. There are different kinds of vulnerabilities, as we all know, because we just do a vulnerability assessment, and we get a lot of vulnerabilities with CVE, IDs, and but this is not all the vulnerabilities. There are vulnerabilities associated with peoples and process. So an assessment with AI and to see the big picture, I think something like an LLM can be a good asset here also. What I see a lot of practical use, and some of my clients already integrated into the pipeline, the AI, is the source code analysis. Checking the source code for possible vulnerabilities, for possible bad practices that they just don't understand.
Sorry to interrupt you. This is very good point, the source code analysis. Because we already mentioned NIS2 several times today, and one of the main, my opinion, One of the main requirements of NIS2 is the source code check. And most of the, by my opinion, most of the companies, even the big enterprises, forget to do anything about this source code analysis, just doing the basic code analysis, which is not by default not security analysis, but some have some security checks. But the IT testers and doing these kind of things, but not really focused on security. So I think it's very important. Just wanted to emphasize this point. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also agree, because what I see a lot that security testing of the source code or analyzing the source code is more or less handled with the functional testing of the source code. So they just check in this static code analysis that if it's work. But yes, there are some rules, for example, MISRA rules that can be applied to this source code analysis. But yeah, it's not really inside the context. So I think an AI can help to understand the bigger context. For example, there is a common practice, they just comment out some blocks, or they just make some warnings to disappear with opting it out. But this is a problem in the culture, I think, and I think an AI can highlight this, that this can be also vulnerabilities. Okay, then the next one is behavioral analytics. So, for example, and this is also something of a white area to say, is insider threats. What I see a lot, that we protect our perimeters, we protect our servers, we buy expensive firewalls and say, okay, the walls are thick enough and they are high enough. But what about the insider threats? And not just insider threats, but for example, a compromised user, a compromised computer. We expect from our users that they behave in a normal way, they don't exfiltrate data, etc. But what if something bad happens and the attacker is inside our walls? What is the difference between the behavior of this user from the behavior of for example, of the past? Something may be changed, and an AI, by analyzing large data and thinking the context, what changed, it can help a lot to pinpoint these insider threats or compromised users. And there are also some unknown attack vectors. Maybe we are all vulnerable, but we just don't know it, because there are no tools for us to see the unknown. For example, just think about a regular vulnerability assessment tool. It uses the CVE database. It just finds the vulnerabilities that are reported, that are existing. But what about those that are not reported yet, the 0 days? Something happens, but we cannot say how, because we don't know the vulnerability. And in my opinion, this is one of the cases of these unknown attack vectors where AI can come very, very handy. Maybe at the end we will see some practical task what can help in this situation. And log analysis. Our favorite as security analysts, we do a lot of log analysis. But what log to collect? What are the important things that we must check? What are the possible alerts we can implement? This is also a challenge for some of us, because sometimes we just keep a very, very big system with a lot of logs and a lot of events. What can happen? And to see through and see the context, the big picture, and to pinpoint if there is some incidents, I think some intelligence behind this log analytics can come very, very handy. Just to jump back into these two topics, we are also in Hungary, the NIS2 companies that are affected by it has this incident response obligatory for the government body. So if there is an incident, they must report it. But how to report if we cannot know? We don't have the tools to find if we had an incident. Yes, there are some obvious cases like ransomwares. You can say that, okay, I cannot reach my system, but there are more sophisticated attacks. Just an experience from me, there are some attacks that came into the light after the initial attack for years later. I've seen some attacks where they say, okay, we got a ransomware, what happened? The attackers were inside the machine for 2 years and they didn't know it because they didn't have the tools for checking it. And yes, cyber awareness, also a topic of NIS2. It can be hard for a lot of companies to make a good cyber awareness strategy. AI can help you in a lot of ways for example, by making a good course thematics and even the training materials it can do for us, and also simulating phishing attacks. It's just like self-defense. You can defend yourself only if you have some practical experiences in self-defense, for example, in the street. It is also true in the cyber world. You must have some practical experiences. You must feel it, how it feels when you are in a targeted attack. And this is where AI can come in and help you also. Yes, there are obvious AI tools. We are not just talking about LLMs, but for example, there are some other tools like natural language processing. It is most commonly used for email filtering or phishing detection. Machine learning for anomaly detection and predictive statistics. I've seen a lot of tools, some well-known and not well-known, like EDS and EPS using AI. Or not AI, just say machine learning, to learn how an attack looks like. And also, in the incident response process, there can be also some automated tools. For example, LLM can be useful here because just think about, you have to generate a lot of reports. You have to alert the users. There must be somebody who answers your questions. So it can be helpful if you have a colleague or an AI who can do it and check and tell the others what happened, helps you to investigate. Okay, so threat detection. Yes, as I said, AI models can analyze a lot of network traffic and look for anomalies. It is just like your basic EDS, EPS, for example, but much more, because maybe there are some events that are harder or they are stealthier and harder to detect, and AI can help you flag these events and to stop it in its track. There are some maybe well-known tools. I know CrowdStrike is now very, very well-known for multiple reasons. There are also the Darktrace. Yes, they are maybe not the cheapest, but they using AI for years now, and they are very, very refined. Email security, just as I said, reading through emails, checking for language patterns, or even behavioral differences. It can also help. There were some examples in real world. For example, it is very common for attackers to impersonate some of our colleagues. For example, our boss or IT department or somebody from it, and send a message for us. And I had a colleague. He was head of the IT department, and he usually had a lot of typos in his emails. Sometimes it was not even readable because he just didn't like this typing, which is kind of interesting for an IT department head. But we just used to that he make these mistakes a lot. And when there was an impersonation attempt and the attacker wrote in his name in a very perfect language, then it was very suspicious. And maybe it was an obvious case, but there could be other cases where the differences are not that easy to pinpoint. And yeah, AI can help in this, and even analyzing possible malicious attachments. So yes, for AI application, I just wrote that we can use AI or ChatGPT for simulating these attacks and train our personnel to defend against them. Incident response, yeah, I think I covered this. It reduces a lot of time, and in incident response, time is a very, very important factor. So using some automation and using something that could think in a context. I know that AI is not really able to think clearly in context, but nevertheless, it can help a lot to be in time. So if you are thinking on how you can include AI in your strategy, incident response is a very, very good way to start. Yes, and talking about strategy. So I think we covered some possibilities and covered some risks. There are also many creative ways to use AI, and I just make some examples like raising awareness by simulating sophisticated social engineering attacks. But what I see a lot, and back to again NIS2, you have to make a lot of documentation, and I mean a lot. Regulations, risk analysis, plans what to do, how to implement the controls. And it needs a lot of writing. And I see a lot of companies using AI for this. I cannot say that this is the best approach. Maybe it's not. But I can imagine other very harrowing tasks where you have to present a lot of documentation in time. And using AI can help you in this also. And I think, aside from source code analysis, this is one of the most common ways that companies nowadays include AI in cyber security in their cases. What other thing is good that as a cybersecurity engineer, I conducted a lot of security policies for a lot of companies, and I just tried out ChatGPT, how it can cope with this, and I can say it was a very, very good result. So for companies that don't have the right personnel to do this, using ChatGPT or other LLMs to make these policies is better than nothing. I can say. So by using it, it enables a lot of things. And yes, there is something that I think I didn't mention. Last time my presentation was more theoretical, and I wanted to make some hands-on experience for you if you still have your energy with you, and something that you can just do on your phone. I think everybody is familiar with ChatGPT. Okay, I see a lot of yes. So you know that you can just use it on your phone. So I just bring you to small cases. I see the practical use in two of this, but I'm just curious how you would tackle these tasks or cases. One thing is, if you can just grab your phone, I don't think that we will make a big round and everybody do and say its results, but just to have some experience. There is one case. Maybe you are familiar with honeypots. Are you familiar with honeypots? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think it is not a very well-known approach in Hungary, or at least I don't see it a lot of times. But as I coming from a hacker background, something that I'm really afraid when I'm in a pen test is getting into a honeypot. So we can say hackers afraid of honeypots. Why we don't use this? And to see how easy we can do a honeypot with ChatGPT, one task is to ask ChatGPT to make a honeypot as credible as it can be, and try to refine it with different prompts, because it is very easy. You just ask it to do it for you, but is it credible? Just think inside the head of an attacker and say, okay, you would fall for this. I think it is a very good practice. And by the way, you can implement it inside the tool with some AI connectivity. You can make a working honeypot very easily with this. It is that easy, or not. The other is to ask ChatGPT to formulate a very convincing phishing email for educational purpose. Then ask it to highlight the suspicious part of it. So, as I said, ChatGPT can easily analyze a lot of data and see these little differences that maybe an eye of a human cannot see. And I think this is also a good use case. Maybe you can include this in your defense strategy, some checks for these mails, and to make an alert. Or you can do it as a part of an awareness training, where you can just write emails with it and check your colleagues if they open it or open the attachment, or if they can pinpoint also these suspicious parts. Or these are just two examples, but if you have any other ideas or creative use cases that you can just think of, I am very curious to hear your opinion, how you would use ChatGPT or any AI, and maybe we will have a patent later. I don't know. So I think this was from my side. I think it's more or less theoretical again, because the participation is not that big. But I encourage everybody to try out and see what he can do with this tool and how it can enhance your security posture. You can do a lot of things with it, so be creative. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. It was a very interesting presentation. I would like to ask one question. So what is your opinion? How can an organization seamlessly integrate AI tools into their existing infrastructure while ensuring scalability and security?
Yes, it is the billion-dollar question because I think most of the companies are just trying to figure out the way. But nevertheless, it is a very big challenge because the risks, as a security personnel, I see a lot of risks in integrating AI in working operations. But to answer your question, I think when this AI thing came up, everybody was very, very enthusiastic and jump into it and try using it. And they don't really understand how it works, what is it good for. And there are a lot of maybe not optional use cases. And when something cannot be solved with it, then this enthusiasm is going low and they just abort the project. But I think they can integrate it if they think their own process and see and understand what it is capable of, and to understand it is not capable of everything. It's just a tool. It's just something that they can use. It won't solve the world problems, but to integrate it in a reality way, basically.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, for example, what if you would be a chief security executive of a big enterprise, so the sector, it doesn't matter, and the CEO would give you a huge amount of money, and in order to implement AI based or AI supported security system or framework or whatever, and you could have choose only one or at maximum two use cases. What would be these use cases? Where would you use AI in security operation?
Yes, I could say that this is also a billion-dollar question because it is also not very easy. There are a lot of options, lot of possibilities, and to make a good decision is not always easy. What I would do if I had to, and I don't give him my resignation at that moment. Yes, the risk analysis. So what are my biggest risks? What are my most important assets that I want to protect? What I don't have a good measure in it. For example, maybe incident response is my weak point. I don't have that kind of possibility to analyze the logs fast enough, and I don't really see what happens in my system. Then it would be my priority. If there are other use cases, for example, I'm a big company with a lot of people, or a big fluctuation, etc. Maybe some behavioral analytics would be my biggest merit, because maybe this is my biggest risk, the fluctuation, the people, the insider threats. So before I do this decision, I would really like to see what is my risks and what are my assets, and decide according to it.
Okay, thank you very much. And last questions. Some people think that using cyber weapons is it's okay in the fifth domain of warfare, in the cyber domain. So what do you think about it? Sorry about this question. It's not really connected to this topic, but I'm interested.
So yes, cyber warfare is very, very much integrated now inside conventional warfare, and it is a very, very big problem. they say that it is okay to use because it doesn't kill people, for example, but it is not the case. Just check some examples from the last year. There was a big sabotage against the I think Lengyel, the Russians sabotaged the Lengyel, Polish, thank you, the Polish train system, and they stopped 20 trains in its track. So we can see how big this damage can be, because there are not just cyber systems, but there is also cyber physical systems. There are some systems that are very, very safety relevant. Cars, power plants, etc. They are also they can be also affected by cyber attacks, and we see a lot of examples for this. And if you see this, it can also lead to death or personal damage, or even a disaster. So I think now a cyber weapon is very, very similar to weapons or lethal weapons, and you cannot really say that it is not lethal, because it is.
And most importantly, some Ministry of Defenses of several NATO countries are think that cyber attack, so the retaliation could be a physical attack on the country who initiated that cyber attack. So it could easily lead to a real physical world as a counterattack.
Yes,
so.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you.